Come on in.
Okay, it's chilly this morning, so Drinking Bird and I have our hats on.
It seems good. It seems like a good idea.
Yeah. So we're getting ready to do our rants here, and hope that y'all can join us. And, unfortunately, I brought some coffee to join my brain.
Do you want to, in fact,
introduce? Shall I fire it up and get going, or shall I just say that we're here?
We're here.
We're queer. We're interesting.
Maybe we're interesting. Maybe not so much interesting.
It's cold, but it's so pretty. Look at those blossoms. And so when we get ready to get going, it's going to be "This is now a bridge to a better world." Don't tell anybody.
Let's do this thing.
Well, that's a good idea. Why didn't we do that before?
What? Turn the
whole camera.
It takes me a minute.
To face the camera. Look at, we could move the camera to face us.
We can also turn it up like this. We can do like
Intellectual
that over there.
finest.
We're gonna, do this.
Oh yeah, you're nice and warm with your hoodie on.
Yes. It is cold. Kind of done with this cold.
Yeah.
But here we are in springtime, and in fact, it's springtime in Portland, right? So this is now Bridge to a Better World. I'm Ani.
I'm Teresa.
Remove the Drinky Bird, please.
All right. Come here, Drinky Bird. Thank you for drinking with us.
Happy Cold Friday to us all.
Yes.
So glad that you are with us this morning, and we have really kind of a slightly different show.
Yeah, let me say it again. This show is called "This Is Now, Bridge to a Better World." I'm Teresa, and that's Ani. And I see that John, Tad, and Jabbar are with us. That's great. And so this week we've been talking about compassion. And we've been talking also about the cruelty that has billowed out of the conservative movement. I certainly felt it in the 80s when Reagan was being elected. To me, it felt like a huge black cloud that sort of, crept across the United States. And Reagan started it off with, it's not like it wasn't there before.
Cruelty Reagan has been with us for quite a while, even before Reagan.
Reagan got this particular round of Republican cruelty, let's say, going, and it's certainly gotten bipartisan in a lot of ways. But anyone who calls themselves conservatives are now reactionaries because of all this. But Reagan came in and he deliberately pulled the race card and went for racial resentment. He campaigned in, I hope I don't get this wrong, Philadelphia, Missouri. Anyway, he campaigned in a lynching town that was his first whistle stop. And so he made sure that dog whistle. Whistle stop means train whistle. In this case, it was a dog whistle stop. And was wildly successful with white people taking his message not message, which after all has been the United States way of keeping people of color down since the Reconstruction. We had a Civil War, we ended slavery. I say we, I mean white people. And then Northern and Southern white people realized they didn't really intend to be equal with Black people. They just didn't want to make them slaves. So here are all these people that they suddenly had to realize were equal and do something about, making differences in the economic and educational dichotomy that they had created by enslaving them. They said, nah, we'll just say we're not enslaving them, re-enslave them, and make sure that they still are absolutely crushed. And this is something that, of course, is uncompassionate, inhumane, grotesque, evil. And by the time we got to Reagan, more sophisticated methods of dog whistling were developed. And that's where we are today, frankly. That's people talk about rural resentment and white rage and all this sort of thing, and they're really dancing around the fact that this is about white supremacy. And this, of course, maintaining other than slaves requires cruelty. It requires a lot of it. You cannot have slaves without torturing them. You must torture people, and the corollary of that is anyone can be enslaved by being tortured. Anyone. This is something that's easily proven in historical accounts from across the world. All of the aspects of behavior that are attributed to slaves are producible from any human being who has been enslaved. And I say that because white people tell themselves that they are superior. I say white people who go for this idiotic idea of superiority tell themselves that uh, they are not subject to slavery, that they're inherently superior to you. That's a lie. That's I'm sorry, the data's in. And so cruelty is an essential part of capitalism as well. And this, as capitalism gets to its end stage and gets crazier and crazier, we see more and more cruelty to the point that we have, like even out visible from my place, I can see a guy who has an RV that has pretty obviously no battery, never seen the lights going on that thing, and maybe no motor, I don't know, but it's better than nothing, and it's on the street and has wheels, and so it's not being towed away. And so actually he's doing pretty good for himself, because he tries to bring his friends in with tents, they get swept off. And the cruelty, we can go to the city council and say, look how much money we spend on these cops who, really just view us as enemies. Why don't we spend half of that on actually housing people and build some huge block houses, or, as Honey says, some separate, community style, tiny home, whatevers, so that everybody has a roof over their head and some way to lock their stuff together. And they say no, because we are
because
committed to
cruelty is the point.
Yeah.
And, it's because the threat of cruelty and cruelty around us keeps us obedient, keeps us on the hamster wheel. And, I think it's Billy Bragg that said, as long as you're comfortable, it feels like freedom. And so here we go around the hamster wheel one more time.
That's a good quote.
I wanted to shift it a little bit, because I think that cruelty really starts with alienation. It starts with not recognizing that our fellows are also human. But in order for us to do that, I think it starts with an essential alienation from self. And we are alienated from self fairly much the moment we're born. As human beings, we are social animals, right? That is deeply encoded in us. It is deeply encoded that we have family, that we are social, that we care, that this is part of our makeup. And it is encoded as social beings that we belong to family, we belong to our society, to our culture. And it's in the sense of belonging that we thrive. And in the US, for example, in order for us to really belong to family, to culture, to the society, we have to deny ourselves, because I think it's Helen Caldicott that says you've got to be crazy not to be crazy. In this society denies us our most basic humanities. It tells us that what we feel is not real. It is a society of gaslighting. We are taught when we are small not to listen to our bodies, not to listen to our intuitive selves, but to respond to a school bell that will tell us exactly when to do what. And we're taught not to really help each other at school. That's considered cheating, right? If you have a friend that is not doing so well on a test, you can't really show them your answers to sort of, help them out and come up with an answer together. That's cheating. Everyone in your silos, please do your best and forget about anyone else in the class. And if you're struggling, it's on you.
Even to the point of a loyalty for little kids. I have lead alignment to the snakes. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
It's an absurd thing.
Well, and it's interesting when you start bucking it, because when I was in 6th grade and decided that I had some political awareness, and I was not liking the idea of the American empire as an 11-year-old, because I had seen some historical documentaries, I decided to sit down for the Pledge of Allegiance, and it caused great consternation. It caused calls to my mother, who, I'm going to say, Go Jean, backed me and said that I really shouldn't have to if I didn't want to.
This hands young Tracy is being disobedient.
You just said my name out loud with your mouth.
Sorry about that.
It's true. my legal name known only to my bankers and my bud tenders, but there it is.
They do read your card, don't they?
It's hilarious.
Well, so this cruelty is necessary to a society that is defined around and which worships war as well. War is a big part of this, and we see the glorification of war, and we see glorification of the war against ourselves, the civil war against ourselves on cop programs. The idea of the dirty cop, who's the good cop? Dirty Harry, he's the one who really got it done. There's many examples. I don't need to convince you. You know exactly what I'm talking about. We have a war on ourselves with police, and we have a war on the world with our armed forces. And we glorify our armed forces. And I don't want to take a sneering attitude on that, because I actually do have great sympathy for these, mostly young men, mostly from rural areas, who are pulled out with these ideas that have been pounded in their heads since their plea of alignment when they were, 6 years old. And they go out and try to do the right thing, and they discover that you can't do the right thing in a foreign country while you're holding a machine gun. It's not the right tool for doing the right thing, usually. And so they come back full of resentment, and then find people like me who are, giving them the side eye for going out there and following orders, shooting people. This is a horrible cycle that goes round and round. And we also worship these people in the abstract, even while we're perfectly capable of denying them enough food counseling and reparations for the lies that we've told them to allow them to live comfortably. We kick them out on the streets. So this cruelty is very necessary to the collection and the distribution of our life's productivity to the richest people, to the billionaires. And it's not something that we would agree to, which is why drugs are dangerous. Drugs produce an altered state. That's really the big danger of drugs. People say that, meth and opiates are terribly deranging. They are deranging when you're in an extreme state. If you're comfortable, and you get into a meth habit, I'll admit, you can get pretty wacky, pretty extremely wacky, but it's much more likely that you'll decide that this stuff is, really annoying, and you'll stop taking it. I had a couple of friends who decided they liked cocaine, and one of them was a chemist, and they worked together, brilliant young men. And as they completed their graduate studies, they put up a lab in their apartment near the student housing area and produced procaine. And I don't know if anyone else produced, I don't know if that's a thing anywhere, but they produced a synthetic cocaine. That's how brilliant they were. They liked it. They brought it to parties. They used it. Then they stopped using it because the tests were coming up, and they really needed to be on it and stable and sober and their best selves, and to get employed by the military-industrial complex, and they forgot all about it. And that lab's gone. Nobody knows how to make it the way they made it. And the reason I tell that story is it's the setting that makes the drug so dangerous. So we have all these excuses for being cruel to each other. It's like, oh, that person's uneducated. That person's ridiculously poor. This person has no housing. We may feel some pity, but the society encourages us to think cruel thoughts and to act in cruel ways, because as long as we act cruelly towards each other, the money keeps getting accumulated. It's a direct, what's the word I'm trying to think of? My brain hasn't completely woken up yet. Mm-hmm. It's a direct correlation is what I'm trying to say. It's a causation. When you're in a large corporation, or even a small one, you're not allowed to talk, even though it is technically legal. You'll be in trouble if you talk with other people about how much you make versus someone else doing the same job. Try it yourself and you'll see.
It's so true.
And that's because
it's fun.
They need to mete out the amount of cruelty to the person to get the maximum extraction. And the wages that you receive are actually a form of cruelty, because it wouldn't work and it wouldn't accumulate money to the capitalist. It would not work as a modern corporate institution if you were not denied vastly the greater part of the productivity that you, I hate to say it this way redundantly, the productivity that you produce, but you know what I mean. So what keeps it that way? Ignorance, keeping us at each other's throats, cruelty. And so when you have something like...
And I'm going to say alienation from self.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to that again because, we are, in fact, if we truly accepted ourselves, if we actually learned and valued loving bonds, where we allowed some self-expression, where we were taught acceptance and unconditional love, we would be a much healthier society. And a much healthier society doesn't need to consume so much, right? There's the work that, oh gosh, John Graff pulled out of my ancient memory. Um, the man who wrote Influenza, which really documented how when somebody is feeling empty inside, they have to uh, run faster on the hamster wheel to try to get more money, to try to throw more goods.
Affluenza?
Yeah,
Affluenza?
not
Okay.
influenza, affluenza.
Okay.
Because that alienation from self, that alienation from others, that hole that is there because we don't have deep and meaningful relationships, uh, because we live in a society that values consumption over happiness. We often confuse the two. We often think that we are, in fact, engaging in happiness because we just got the new thing. And then the shine of that thing wears off, and we are left again with the emptiness, right? And so we go on ever more in chasing and that ephemeral quick hit of happy. And instead, because this works really well for capitalism, right? It's a consumerist ideology. We don't care about waste. We don't care about the workers that produced it and how they were being paid. We don't care about the conditions of the planet. We just need that quick hit of happy because we're empty inside. And again, mostly that is because we are chasing the dollar. We are told that is the righteous thing to do. This is the thing that is valuable in our society. And we are not forming those deep relationships with each other. We're not forming those deep relationships with ourselves, right? We are not accepting ourselves. We are, a lot of people really would rather not actually do self exploration. It's painful. And so instead, keep ourselves distracted, and again, chasing that quick hit, that thing.
So I'm lucky in that my life has given me opportunities to see how important compassion is in breaking this paradigm. For example, we're all encouraged to take responsibility for our own commutes. And what does that mean? That means that the only affordable housing is away from your workplace. And so you're away from your workplace, so you have to find a way to get there. And the society, being bent on cruelty, has inadequate means of. My dog has one foot on a plate. It's kind of funny to watch, but
he's absolutely rearranging all blankets and cushions in the room to
settle down. It's not easy. He's got arthritis. He needs to get his butt just. So
he's almost 14, and he's mostly Great Dane. This is unheard of. He can do what he wants.
So back to the point. It's like I learned driving the bus that I had been trained to view everyone else on the road as opponents. They're in my way. And driving the bus, you can't take that attitude. You won't last very long, for one thing. So I started thinking of drivers as weather. They're just there. They're doing their thing. And then I went a little further, and I started thinking of drivers as human beings. And I see someone just like zoom across, and instead of saying that crazy asshole, I would say that sometimes, but depending on how scared I got or offended. But also I would say, maybe he just really needs to pee, and this would cause the bus passengers to laugh. Often as not. And, that's happened to all of us. But I got this opportunity to drive around people who weren't anything like me and to listen to them talk and to realize that, just how much we have been put against each other and just how little of that activity is actually basically, what am I trying to say, instinctively human. It's not. We actually like to help each other.
We do. There are many wonderful studies about altruism in toddlers.
I mean, I don't need to go too much further with that. You get the point. But what I want to say is I don't want to leave. You're about to say something.
Well, we do. We have we're hardwired to want to help each other succeed. We're hardwired to want to see each other to feel good. Again, check out some interesting studies around altruism and toddlers. It's something that has renewed my faith over and over again. And so then we are carefully taught that we are separate and that we protect what's ours and screw the other guy. And that those are lessons that are just poisonous, right? So we have to really think about how to undo that. We have to think about how we, the purposes of alienation is to serve capitalism, right? Is to serve this neoconservative cruelty. And when we are living in a culture that is performatively cruel, kindness is a revolutionary act. And I'm asking you to be revolutionary. I'm asking us all to extend kindness and understanding to one another. We can see how threatened the power structure is by that when we look at Keith McHenry being the founder of Food Not Bombs
in 1980, yeah.
And how he is one of the most arrested activists ever in this country. Why? What was he? Was he hammering nuclear weapons and beating our swords into plowshares?
Terrified our civic leaders
by feeding people who are hungry.
Out from under them.
And so, what happens if we actually take care of each other? Right? What happens if we feed each other? What happens if we help to shelter one another? What happens if we help to meet each other's basic human needs?
I feel like that hand gesture you just did. I don't think they got to see it. It was something like your camera there. It was like that.
I think they got to see it. Okay. So, but what happens? We short circuit. We short circuit capitalism. We short circuit the control over us, the people. And how do we do that? Because we practice solidarity. And solidarity is frightening to the ruling elite because we have the numbers, right? We are so much bigger, so much stronger, so many more than those that attempt to rule us with such cruelty. So that if in fact the sentiment that the ruling elite have nothing to fear from us little folks because you can hire half of us to shoot the other half, the robber baron mentality of the 1890s, and how that continues to trickle down through this last, century and a half. If we decide no, in fact, we're not going to turn on each other anymore. We're not going to be easily split into ethnic camps, into gender camps, into religious camps, into all of these different spheres. If we're going to say no, we're going to practice our humanity, we're going to practice kindness, and we're going to actually live in solidarity with one another, even if we have different diets, even if we view the divine being differently, even if, I am, of a different sexual orientation than the person across from me, even if all of these things, we're going to treat those things as like, wow, diversity. Look at that. You think different. I think that's kind of interesting. Instead of these are hard lines and now we are pitted against each other. So I'm going to say that, in fact, kindness is a revolutionary act. It is the most important thing that we can actually practice because kindness is a form of solidarity. And that is, in fact, what we need to really put an end to the performative cruelty of our end game capitalist society.
And eating together is particularly powerful, which is why they're so frightened of Food Not Bombs. And it gives me an idea. This is the first time springing this on Ani, so I won't guarantee that I'm actually going to do this. We would have to work out the logistics of it. But what I would like to do is go down to the city.
I love it when she springs things on me when we're here with you.
This is an easy one. So it's just a proposal. But maybe you want to do something like this. It's like I've been frustrated because I've tried various things to learn who my neighbors are and what they're like. I've succeeded a little bit, but not nearly to the degree that I would like. So what I would like to do is go down to the city and give them $25 for a street closure for July 4th. Everyone's off July 4th, well, not everyone.
Do you
A
know
lot of
it's
people are off
25
July
bucks
4th.
anymore?
I don't know.
Okay.
So that's part of
She wants to have a street party.
Yes, and
I encourage block parties.
what I want to do is like get out some tables, maybe borrow some tables from other people, and just have them in the streets. And it'll be a potluck, and we'll have something that just really has a strong odor to it, like roasting corn, brisket if I can afford it, whatever. It's like the smell, and little flyers will go around and be an invite, and everyone will know and see that there's a street party. Excuse me, on July 4th, and we'll be able to get together and see each other, and stuff some good food in our faces, and wipe our faces with the napkins, and have time to actually see and look in each other's eyes and talk to each other in a way that we haven't in this little nook since I moved here in 2005. That's how long we've been here, 2005. And people have come and gone. And like I said, we have had some success. And we've got good neighbors, and we've got some people who are a little scary, but this will help things. And so I particularly would like to promote this as a national idea because, even MAGA like hot buttered corn on the cob and brisket. And they might come out of their hidey hole, just say hi and maybe get a little taste of the sausages. And
so
we need to undo their victims. We need to undo the MAGA poison that is driving them to the polls to vote for this insane criminal rapist.
Okay. Block party permits are free, by the way. You apply for them through the city of Portland.
Cheers.
And I've gone through that permit process. So,
yeah, you did that for cable.
Yeah, and other things. I used to sit on neighborhood boards. There are ways to do this. It's not really, and they're easily found. And yes, meeting your neighbors is such an important thing, right? We live in a very strange dead end that doesn't really face many actual houses. And of the actual houses we face, we have friends in one of them, and maybe not so much in the other two. We're genderqueer, and I'm going to say maybe in a more conservative neighborhood. So, but all that said,
for Portland,
yes, for Portland. So all that said, block parties heavily encouraged. Fight alienation, right? And be with your peeps. Know who is living around you. This is actually a great idea, but maybe you are living in a more rural area, or maybe you, like us, are in a neighborhood that maybe is a little bit out of step with you, and a block party seems maybe a little bit too far. Well, again, start cultivating relationships and start cultivating community. You are here now. You are a part of this community. It's a bit ephemeral every Friday morning, but we love spending this time with you, and we would love to actually make this a more tangible community as well. And I am hoping to have a sort of barbecue-ish thing for our listeners and viewers as the summer comes around. So be looking for updates on that as well.
We could do this from a cafe sometime. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, we could. It's been done, not with us, but it has absolutely been done.
Did y'all like that?
You can let us know in comments below or in comments right now in the live stream. Would you come? I think it would be a lot of fun. So that all said, to know that we build relationships every time we talk to somebody, we can build them up, we can lift them up, we can practice solidarity, we can have fun with each other. And again, these are all revolutionary acts. I want to quote Maya Angelou right about now because she's brilliant. And she says, "I'm convinced of this. Good done anywhere is good done everywhere. For a change, start speaking to people rather than walking by them like they're stones that don't matter. As long as you are breathing, it is never too late to do some good." And I know that the pandemic showed us how important peripheral relationships are to our society, to our communities. When suddenly we found that we couldn't go to the coffee shop or the corner store or the whatever it is that we go to on a regular basis and could not meet the eyes of the worker, our barista, our clerk, our whatever, and could not just exchange pleasantries. Good morning. How you doing? Oh, you didn't sleep good. I'm so sorry to hear that. I hope you feel better later. Those kinds of pleasantries, they're glues that hold our society together. And when we were suddenly cut off from them, we all suffered accordingly. So let us elevate those relationships. Let us actually get past a little of the small talk and get to know the other regulars in that coffee shop or the other dog walkers in that park that you see, frequently. It's time to actually open up and spend a moment getting to that social relationship with each other, and that would do a lot to fight alien. Teresa loves the Reddit, and it tells me that there are amazing, funny, humane, wonderfully irreverent, and warm-hearted people on this Portland Reddit group that she's in, and they share such good times about Portland. And I thought, oh yeah, cool, I want to try that. And so I went to Reddit and I went to Portland.
Yeah, there's two Portland Reddit. There's at least
So
subs.
I'm
And
sure
one of them
there
is
may be
so,
more.
Yeah.
So
Nothing.
what I'm saying is that I went to the conservative one. I didn't know. I didn't know how many Reddits there are. I'm not a big Redditor. Uh, so that said, I am stunned by the amount of cruel and proud horseshit that I found there. Whenever somebody mentioned, something that was kind of sad, uh, tragic, maybe around somebody dying of an overdose, somebody, a camp being swept, somebody having a very hard time. Uh, it was amazing and disheartening to see the amount of performative cruelty dogpiling on, well, that's what we get in this, shithole of a city with liberal whatnot. And it was just such crap. And it made me really wonder, A, how many of these folks really live in town? Um, how many of them are bots? I don't know. And B, how can we get over thinking that being cruel and sneering and believing oneself to be better than, how can we get over thinking of that as acceptable behavior? Because it's not. It's not acceptable behavior. We need to have some sort of like, uh, how do we say, good citizenship awards, right? Like back in second grade, the people that exhibited kindness maybe were noted as good citizens, as helpful in some way. How can we get back to that notion and to say, nah, advocating this kind of cruelty, this kind of non-compassion, this might makes right, and conservatism wins the day, is not acceptable. It's embarrassing. It shows a distinct lack of humanity. How can we get there?
Yeah, and another aspect of the alienation is you see a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people commenting about Portland are from outside Portland because Portland has become politicized. So this is something that has been commented on a lot. So it's not just bots, and there are a lot of really good people in there. And that, to me, the overwhelming evidence for me for that was the people who, during Black Lives Matter, went out and confronted the cops day after day. I'm not saying that was the perfect gesture or anything, but I do know that the vast majority of the people went out and did that were actually trying to change the system, trying to address a real war on people of color and GLBTQ people, as I personally have experienced from, and the attitude of the cops who view themselves as occupiers of an inferior population. It's no exaggeration. They're not from here. That's how they talk. We have a real problem. that they are making war on us as much as they can get away with, and they can get away with a lot.
Well, and so again, good police oversight is important, but we have to, and we don't have really good police oversight, right? We had Joanne Hardesty, who was vilified by attempting to rein in the police. So this is a concerted action we have to continue to work on. We also thank you, A Kitty, for pointing out that yeah, there's a part of the Trumpism that has kind of taken the mask off of this cruelty, where now folks can feel like, oh, they're they're the strong men, right? They're going to be on the winning team because assholes rule or something like that, right? It used to be something that, if you were that big of an a-hole, you had to kind of tamp it down a little, at least in polite company, because otherwise people are going to look at you and go, you're an asshole.
No, look at that comment.
And now
I know you don't like that.
I really don't.
I am getting pretty blind.
I understand that. But anyways, suffice it to say that that kind of I've totally lost my thread. Sorry.
Oh, well, we'll pick up another thread then. Maybe it'll come back to you.
To wrap it up, that kind of performative cruelty is not acceptable, right? It has never been acceptable, and Trump publicizing it, prioritizing it, beating the drum of it, and being the sort of asshole in chief role model for it has definitely worsened the situation. But we're going to have to undo it brick by brick because Trump's not going to be here forever. How are we going to rehabilitate those that have taken up the banner of assholery?
Yeah, they're eager monsters in waiting to do a better job of demagoguery and to fascistize us even worse. So I'm thinking July 4th. But generally speaking, I think that sort of action needs to be more common. We need to talk about that. I am going to talk about that. I'm going to try to get more than just one area to do a July 4th potluck, because it might be the last chance we get to talk to MAGAs before the election. Could be. It's a possibility.
There are many dates available.
Yeah.
Many dates available. Sure. So do you have anything else to say?
Well, there's interesting headlines, but we haven't been doing headlines. But I just had to pass on a joke that I saw about, because there was a 4.8 earthquake that was felt in New Jersey. And the joke is the New Jersey City Council said next time it's going to be 7.8 if everyone doesn't get those payments in. It's a mob joke. Okay. I liked it.
All right. So with that, let's go ahead and transition. I want to remind folks you are watching. This is now Bridge to a Better World. I'm Ani. This is Teresa. Yes, we have been married for almost 30 years. And if you are watching this, please do hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. I'm really happy to see y'all here this morning. And I want to move on in to the tarot part of the show. So in thinking about this morning, I was really thinking about how to shift into a space of kindness. What can each of us do to accelerate moving into kindness, where kindness is in fact the overarching hallmark of our society? And this is what I got. I have the Three of Wands, Strength, and the Ace of Wands. And the Ace of Wands was inversed for those keeping track at home. And we've seen the Three of Wands recently a few times. And so again, what the Three of Wands signifies is um, that sometimes the answer is right in front of our faces, but we have to shift our perspectives to really see it. There is um, opportunities for playfulness. There are opportunities, there we go, to be with each other, but they're maybe just a little bit out of our frame. And so sometimes turning around and seeing that there are, in fact, fellows to connect with, that there are comrades to play with, that there are comrades to dream with. They are right there. They are right next to us. They are in our communities and families, but we have to turn around. We have to shift our perspectives and connect. That we have to recognize that we are strong, that we have so much strength as we are able to connect with the deepest parts of ourselves, right? And that is, again, overcoming the alienation uh, that seeps in as we are put down, as we are told that we are less than, that as we are told that we are not fitting into the right box, as we are told to subsume, subjugate our human needs, and respond only to the sound of a bell, as we are separated out and taught to be racist, classist, sexist, homophobic. As we are taught all of these things, we are pulled away from our center and away from our strength. So, in order to really be in our true strength, to make friends with all of ourselves, to 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 tamp down the alienated feelings that, again, we are taught that we pick up, um, and to remember what it's like to be fully human. To be fully human is, in fact, to remember our animal instincts, to remember our human nature, and that is, in fact, strength. And the Ace of Wands. The Ace of Wands is really about inspiring of new ideas, transformative ideas. It's tapping into creativity. And the fact that it was inversed indicates that what we have been doing to do that has not really been working. We need to try new things. We need to try different ways of tapping into our creativity. We need to try to rekindle that transformative passion differently. And so, again, I'm going to look to the strength card on how to do that differently. That is making friends with our whole selves, knowing that fighting alienation starts at home, starts in our own hearts, and spreads outwards with smiles and with unexpected acts of kindness. And so that is actually where I'm going to leave it. I want everyone to have. I'm gonna take on the mantle of the elementary school teacher and give you homework. And your homework assignment then for this week is to find some way, somehow, of bringing unexpected kindness to a situation. Reaching out to a neighbor, uh, being especially nice to a barista, uh, giving some help to an elder, whatever it is. Just think about a way that you can enact kindness in your life and in our communities this week. It's a revolutionary act. Be revolutionary.
I like that. I have one more request. Put in an order for some respirator masks. H5N1 is doing things, and I've been following it and don't have time to really talk about the details, but I just ordered some. And then I thought, I ordered 10? What good is 10? But anyway, I need to get another box, and I think it would do you well in the future if you had a box of respirator masks where you could get them.
All right. So thanks very much for being with us. Please do hit the like button. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell as well. And so you can be up to date on whatever it is we do. And thank you so much for being. Please go out and commit revolutionary acts of kindness.
You're my revolutionary gal. Okay, my love goes out to you and to all the ships at sea. Bye. You feel revolutionary.